Hello, class. My name's Richard Kennedy. It's very nice to see all of my wonderful classmates. I'm here to present my findings on presenting my project to 7th and 8th grade middle schoolers at Harvest Preparatory Academy in San Luis High School. I want to go ahead and let you know about my target population. I wrote a little speech about it. There are multiple elements and aspects that impact the human development of the children from San Luis High School and San Luis Middle School. The San Luis Hispanic population faces several sociological problems, such as human trafficking, drug trafficking, unemployment, government corruption, and huge numbers of unemployed citizens. The implications of these crimes have impacted the Hispanic population at Harvest Preparatory Academy. Uh, Poverty, gender inequality, and shrinking educational budgets are influencing children to pick getting a job over staying in school. There's a direct correlation between the students not being able to get the school supplies they need and bad academic and behavioral performance. Unfortunately, if they don't have the supplies they need, they usually are not successful academically. Harvest Preparatory's goal for its students is to teach them time management skills, develop organizational habits, and learn how to acquire so the children can learn how to ask questions, develop critical thinking ability, as well as be ready for high school and college. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into my lesson, my wonderful classmates. My lesson plan started out with having the kids write a letter of reflection. They had to write a letter of reflection about their goals, and they had to bring that into class for this lecture. So the kids walk in, I got an activity on the board. You're going to need 4 days to do this lecture with them effectively. Each day is going to be about 50 minutes. You're going to need a projector. You're going to need a whiteboard. You're going to need dry erase markers, and your students are going to need paper, pencils, and erasers. So those are the supplies you're going to need. So when the kids walk in, they're going to do a quick write, which means that they're going to spend 5 minutes writing about the prompt that's on the board. In this case, it's going to be about please write a paragraph about 2 goals from your letter of reflection. So for that, it's going to need about 5, maybe 10 minutes. So after that is done, you go ahead and let the students know what the objective is going to be for today. I have it in the form of a students will be able to. Students will be able to use the SMART goal setting tools to revise their letters of reflection to be more specific, measurable, obtainable, realistic, and timely. The essential question for today is how can I use the SMART goal setting tools to revise my dreams to be more smart? Again, SMART is an acronym. So that brings us to the opening page. We are welcomed by the SMART acronym as well as what each letter stands for. For the second time, it stands for specific, measurable, obtainable, realistic, and timely. This is the first activity that we do after the quick write. We do an activity called a think, pair, share. We choose a student to trade with, and we let the student read our letters of reflection. I do offer an option if you don't feel comfortable letting somebody read your letter of reflection, please discuss your goals with them. This way, allows the students to read each other's goals and thoughts, as well as build a sense of camaraderie. Maybe they're going through similar problems or they have similar goals that they could help each other or be resources for one another. I'm trying to stimulate networking and the importance of it with this activity. And that brings us to our lecture, Goals or Dreams with Timelines. That is very important for the information that's going to come up in this presentation. The next thing that we do is define. These are the vocabulary words. Short-term goals versus long-term goals. I give a definition as well as provide examples of each for the students. Then we're going to spend 10 minutes doing an activity called Thinking Buddies. That's where we review any material that we've covered so far. We randomly select 3 students and I ask them questions of comprehension. If they get it correct, I give them points on an application called Class Dojo. Here's the acronym again, as well as what each letter in the acronym stand for. This comes to our first letter in the acronym, specific. It's very important that the students' goals are specific. When they bring them to class, you'll notice that they do not give you a location of where they're going to achieve their goals. For example, they might say that I want to graduate from college, but they might not name a university. Another thing that will be missing from the students' letters is a time frame. They will not mention any graduation year unless they really thought about their letter and revised it once or twice. In this presentation, you want to remind them to ask these questions. Who is achieving the goals and who are you achieving them with? What do you want? What is your goal? You have to have a clear understanding of what you want and stay away from general statements. Another important thing is where. Where do you see you achieving the goal? Where do you want to graduate from high school? Where do you want to graduate from college? These are important questions to ask your student so they develop a very clear picture of their goal so they'll be able to obtain it. Another wonderful aspect to encourage the students to think about is when. When will they graduate from high school? When will they graduate from college? When will they obtain their engineering degree? These are important questions to ask your students, as well as which and why. What are the requirements? What is necessary for me to achieve the desired goal that I desire? The next activity is something called information hunters. This allows the student to take the information that we just learned and apply it to this letter. In this activity, we have the students read their letters of reflection and hunt information as far as location and times provided for each of their goals. I encourage them, if they don't have that information, to provide it in their letter for the revision process. The next acronym is measurable. You want to make sure your student has a way to measure their success and their progress towards achieving their goal. Measurement might be found in 2 different forms: quantitative, which means numbers, or qualitative, which means the characteristics. For example, if they want to be the best soccer player, they might use quantitative data, like how many points they scored uh, per each game. If they want to use qualitative data and their goal is to get to a nice university, they might look at the descriptive terms that are on the websites for the university to see if it fits with their goal that they set for themselves. It's all about having high expectations and wanting to achieve them. The next activity is a think, pair, share. You want to ask your students if they'll know when they'll be able to achieve it. You want to ask your students, how will you track your progress? This is an important factor when trying to encourage your students to achieve their goals. Also, attainable. You want your students to realize that they can achieve their goals. You're going to have students that come into your classroom and they might have this preconceived notion that they're not going to go to college because they come from a family or a household that has a low social economic status. You want to encourage your students that they can achieve it and that all possibilities are available for them, as well as remind them that there's financial resources available for them if they want to go to college. Encourage them to do good in their academics so that more opportunities will be presented to them in the form of scholarships and grants. The next activity is called Lights, Camera, Action. Some students learn by physical interaction, so I developed an activity called Lights, Camera, Actions for those students so that they can act out their goals. For example, we might have a student pretend that they're driving a car or graduating from high school and giving the valedictorian speech. The next thing is to remind your students that they're realistic. You don't want them to set goals like, I will never watch television again. Have them develop realistic goals. For example, I won't watch television until I completed my homework. The next thing is an activity called Picture This. This is where I have the students create a visual representation in the form of a photo or a picture. This helps the students visualize them achieving their goal, so it becomes more obtainable because they have a visualization of what it is that they truly desire. And the last thing is to remind the students that they need to be timely. They need to set a timeline for their goal so that they don't procrastinate against it. That's the importance of teaching them how to track their progress, as well as reminding them that they need a timeline for their goal. I have another information hunter question. I posted them. I make them look through their letter and make sure that each of their goals have a timeline so that they have a greater probability of achieving. The way that I utilize my assessment is in the form of an exit ticket. I have them spend the rest of the period revising their letters to turn in a final copy the next day. I also have them write a Cornell note summary telling me all of the material that they learned so that they can have it present when they do their homework the following night. Thank you very much, class, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for allowing me to present my information, and I look forward to seeing all of your wonderful presentations as well. Thank you.